Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am making this video to keep an agreement with myself. I am part of a digital art collective, and I was recently, 45 days ago, given a challenge to assign myself a project, do a task, build a website scene, and write a song and share it upon the website, and then talk about it. So I'm here to talk about what I've made. The scene is called Goliath, and for the past few months, I have been playing guitar and writing music in a very different way than I have in the past. It's felt a lot like basically just waking up and tuning into what is and what's real and what wants to move through. And a lot of songs have happened. It's been this like mosaic of all of these different pieces, some that are fully formed and fleshed out, and others that are just barely ideas. But what it feels like is this authentic and true representation of my emotional landscape. And when I look at all of these pieces together, I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. And it really feels like there's a passage of a character through these times. And I'm somebody who's, I experience very extreme emotions. So to have songs that represent this full spectrum is a really special thing. And so I was doing this before the 45-day challenge that I've just finished. And I basically set myself the goal of, at the end of this 45-day challenge, I would finish a song and put it on my website, because not only did I want to write the song and share the song, I also wanted to do a live performance of it. And I do a lot of writing. Azira, I don't know if I've even shared this with you all, but Azira, the word is actually this beautiful, complex, interdimensional mythology that I've been writing for like a decade. And I so deeply want to share it with you. I also feel very challenged and frankly totally retarded in communicating it. So part of this 45-day challenge and part of me making this website scene is to practice communicating with you. And so that's what I'm here to do, to communicate with you. I said a moment ago that this new body of music has a story that moves through it. And the story starts with hell, as is a present theme in my work. It starts with torment. It starts with despair. It starts with feeling totally fucked. It starts in depression. It starts in feeling lied to by God. It starts in a place which I encounter cyclically, which is essentially like everything that I thought is no longer. It's the place where the tower falls and I start over again. And this place is like a cyclical depression that I wish I could say I'm more graceful, like after hitting it many times through the years and bouncing back from it. Like it feels like, I talk about it in the context of like, it feels like I crashed the ship. And then like I'm riding this advanced, extraordinary alien spacecraft with so much beautiful technology, and for reasons unbeknownst to me, the whole fucking ship just and I freak the fuck out. I wish that I were more graceful at navigating this space, given I know that I bounce back. And at some point, for reasons also unbeknownst to me, all the lights just turn on again and everything starts working. My nature in this way is very mysterious to me. I've been studying it for some time. And I would love to share more. Fundamentally, I would really love to share more with you. Anywho, the song starts from that place. It starts from like, I'm so fucked. And deeper than that, there's a thing that's passed through my family, and not everyone gets it, but if it's like this kind of, it's like a family curse, and it skips some people, but other people really clearly get bit by it. And it looks like mental illness, like either depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. And I'll say, like, when I was up until I was about 18, I feel like I was a fairly normal person in many respects. And when I turned 19 or so, my psyche changed in a really dramatic way. And there was a period of time that I went through. It was like my first real depression happened when I was in that age. That wasn't situationally related. It was like depression. It happened when I was like 19, and it was basically just like all of the energy that I had, that I knew to be myself. It was the first time that I encountered this kind of experience. It was just like all my life force was just gone from me, and I didn't know where it went. And it was just many months of me feeling like very confused and uncomfortable and distraught. And I think that first one was actually more confusing and disorienting and weird than it was like depressing and savage. And it was kind of like this pendulum swung. I changed a lot during I would say, a short period of time. And man, I notice right now, it's just like there's something so challenging for me about talking about this, and I don't really understand why, but it's kind of like getting scrambled. So I'm going to say this as succinctly as I can. Goliath, to me, comes from this place of extreme pain. And it is a question which asks to God, why? Why do you bring me here? What happens? And when I say my life changed when I was 18 or 19, I don't just mean that I just became like accustomed to depression and I got this like family curse. I really see this curse as a gift as well, because what happened to me, and what I find to be the case, is it was like before these events started occurring, it was like I was looking at the world through this tiny lens, and all of a sudden the thing of like the depression is like that lens just shatters, and it's extremely uncomfortable when it does. But when it does, after some time, light can begin shining through in places where it wasn't, through the sides and through the cracks in the glass. And all of a sudden, it basically gave me the opportunity to take the lens through which I was looking at the world off and open up to see the world as it is, or in a very different way. And this also came with another side of the pendulum, which was like extreme beauty. And it was the first time I'd ever encountered self-expression in my life. I learned so much about myself in a very short period of time. I grew up in a very conservative town. I think I was always a creative soul, but I didn't access it when I was young. And I was actually a compulsive liar when I was young. Like, I would fabricate stories that never happened. I would lie about the smallest things and the biggest things to my friends and to my family, and I would have no trouble whatsoever keeping track of this network of lies, and I had no idea I was doing it until I was like 19. And when I saw that, two things happened. I realized I was not who I was pretending. A few things happened. I realized I was not who I was pretending to be. I felt who I really was. And it was like, oh, I've been feeling myself from like this raindrop, but really I'm the ocean. Like, I can feel what expression of myself feels like. I can feel what it feels like to live as my real form. And it is beautiful, and it is ecstatic, and it is brilliant, and it is like the sun. And I want to live like this forever. And I fucking hated myself. I hated everything that I was. Like, I lied. I lied because I was so, and I think it was, looking back, this is 10 years ago, looking back, I lied because it was some kind of survival mechanism that I picked up along the way to be okay in a place where I didn't feel like I could be myself, right? And a few things happened once I started seeing this. It was like I was presented with both sides of the equation at the same time, like extreme bright, brilliant, beautiful light and like extreme shadow. And I knew pretty quickly that, and I also, I met my soul. Like, I met my spirit. I met my, like, what I really am, and the beautiful, infinite complexity, the delicacy that lives inside of me, as well as all of us. I came into contact with that, and once I did, it was like I also knew what I wanted to do. I'd been studying philosophy my first year at school, and once I found this, I was like, oh, like, what else is there to philosophize about? This is the thing. And I dropped out. I went backpacking in South America, and I really just went for it. And I just gave myself permission to go for it. And what that meant was to kind of go crazy. Like, I did go off the rails for a while, and kind of live there in many ways now. Yeah, I guess I began experiencing reality in a very different way. And I want to be delicate with how I speak about this. So here's essentially what I'm seeking to share is like, all of us are so very complex. No person's situation is the same. I certainly don't have everything figured out by any means. And I'm still regularly humbled by my emotion and my experience and these aspects of myself that I cannot control. However, for me, like, I remember at one point being very, very scared that I was losing control of my mind and feeling like this same thing that has debilitated other members of my family has come for me, and like feeling like I was bit by this beast, and I could feel its fangs sinking into my chest and its venom leaching into my body and taking over it, and like I couldn't control my mind, and my mind was just exploding, and there was somebody screaming inside of me, and I didn't know what to do with this energy, and like this thing, and also like I was going into it like I was obsessed with it. It was basically like I had experienced a pretty normal psyche for all of my life until then, and then it's like I found this door in me, and I was obsessed with it and just went full throttle into the heart of it. And that full throttle experience was basically like, it was like I sailed into the heart of the greatest mystery that I could conceive, and it felt like insanity, and it is. The things that I did and do in our Western culture, we only have like we have this word called mental illness that creates this giant blanket around people who don't function in an average way. And I feel like it can be very misleading. And also not. Like, I don't mean to say any of this to disregard what so many people encounter. What I am interested in sharing or speaking to is my experience with this thing that is passed through my family and is certainly in me and gives me so much pain, is also something that I find extraordinarily beautiful. And it is the source of my inspiration. And it's like an extreme sensitivity and ability to see and perceive. And when it really started kicking in for me, I was in South America, and I was having these breaks which we only really have a word called schizophrenia for it, when you're talking to things that aren't here and beings that aren't here. And that was my experience. I was fortunate to be in a different country, and I recognized that when I was talking to people who loved me and they started getting scared about what I was saying, and I recognized I had some level of self-awareness that like I sounded really crazy when I was talking about these things and beginning to share like what my experience was like. And once I recognized that it didn't feel productive for me to talk to people about what I was doing, I stopped sharing, and I was in a different country, and I was able to kind of go off grid for a while. And then I went backpacking, and I met a man who I lived with for many months, who basically was like able to, he just very simply showed me like, hey, this thing that you're doing is actually a gift. These others you're speaking to are real in a very different way. We don't call it sickness here, but we recognize it as a gift that can be cultivated. And I sat with him in ceremonies in which he demonstrated what it's like to harness this unique sensitivity. And I was very gifted in a very unique way with that perspective. I don't know why I'm not saying it. I'm like trying to dance around this thing. For whatever reason, I'll continue. Basically, I was fortunate to be in a situation in which I started encountering my mental illness, and I was with somebody who demonstrated to me that it wasn't an illness. It was something that I could learn to practice with and cultivate. And that's a big catalyst to me doing art and just creation through these years. And I lived with him for many months, and I practiced, and I opened these doors within myself. And then I left, and I moved back to California. And it was basically like all of these doors and this sensitivity that I'd cultivated in a very unique and special container to do so. Basically, like, almost think of some kind of monastery where it's like you're in this container to go deep inside of yourself. And then I moved to like LA, and I just remember it was like I opened all of these doors, and then I was just flooded by a fucking tsunami and was not able to manage it. And during this time, I feel very fortunate that I had family who could help support me, because if not, I would certainly like not be okay. It's taken me so much to learn how to just hold myself upright in life, and I just don't think I would have been able to do it without the support of my family, and I owe so much to them. With that said, I also feel like I owe so much to the world, and I have a responsibility to, like, I had the opportunity to relate to this thing that would have totally taken me out. And like, I feel very close to people who are screaming out on the streets, and it just like feels like that is a hair's breadth away from where I would be had I not had the support that I did. And I feel a deep responsibility with this platform that I've been given to learn, which is time to learn and study and practice cultivating this energy that so much of the world sees as an illness that needs to be, whose symptoms need to be suppressed. I feel like it is a gift which must be cultivated to be held, and it is very important for our world to feel, because the world is screaming. And it's like there's a great line that says to be sane in a sick society is the greatest insanity there is. Something along those lines. And I feel like, in some way, a proper response to our time is to be totally fucking insane. And what I've been working with is that, like, scream. Man. And just like a context is just like, during this period of time, and many times thereafter, but like the time I was speaking about when I moved back to LA, it was just like I was just every day there would just be this like tsunami of somebody screaming inside my head. Like his voice was just like he was being burned alive, and it was just like blood curdling screaming, and it was just this tsunami of like all emotion at once, just capsizing, and I would be debilitated on the floor, curled up, and just groaning until it went away. And that still happens to me. I'm way better at relating to it, and it's like I'm good at the moment. And I also say all this shit like, yes, I feel this is a gift to be cultivated. I have been practicing cultivate it. And there are totally periods of time that go by where I'm like way over my head. And I'm like, yo, I need help. SOS. We're going down. So I say I'm both critical of society, and like these things should not be suppressed and medicated. I'm not saying these things shouldn't be medicated, but I'm talking about like how do we learn how to integrate this energy into our human psyche, into our consciousness, into our awareness? Like, to me, these gifts manifest as curses when they are rejected. And I'm here to talk about how can we integrate this energy, because I feel we absolutely fucking need it to evolve. So, Goliath, the song really comes from being fucked up by the energy and asking God, what do I do with this energy? Or why do you do this to me? It's like very much from the victim space. It's actually, the lyrics start with, "Mother, my lover, you've left me scarred. You've broken my heart, now I'm naked in the dark, and I'm eaten alive by all these monsters inside me, wondering why do you betray me?" And to me, it's this scene of like, it starts Rawr. So, a big part of the song Goliath is the character, the hero, this version of myself, asking, why, God? Why do you do this? And to me, asking why is this like full sensation of giving up and being like, I have no idea what the fuck to do. Like, why? What do you want? It's out of my hands. And in the fullest way possible. And when I do this act in the fullest way possible, I'm able to like give up more of myself than I knew was there before. And what I find time and time again is it's like at rock bottom, there's a trap door. I fall through the bottom floor. There is more of me than I knew there to be before. So much more. Dolphins, rainbows, and unicorns. They're real. Fuck. Vanilla pancakes on ice. Before I was the raindrop, now I am the ocean. There is so much more of me here. Lord, what do I do with this energy? It's scrambling. It's scrambling. Well, this is the beginning of a conversation. We shall have more. This is a good place to start. What I'm interested in communicating ultimately with this body of work is like, it starts at Goliath, but the body of work I feel like is a passage of this conversation of basically discovering this beautiful kingdom inside of myself, inside of the self, a kingdom that I feel lives in all of us. And we have to go beneath the first layer of the perceived self, and beneath the second layer, there's another self that lives underneath. And the doorway often looks like insanity. I find emotion, like riding emotion, is very, very helpful. It's like an access key and an access code to this place of great wealth inside of us. And what I find, and it's very mysterious how this works, but what I find is that these, like, emotion is these currents that we can learn to ride into this place of great wisdom and intelligence inside of us. And when I wake up to write these songs, I feel like I'm just waking up and tuning into like what is here, what is present, what's moving. And some days it's like, oh, boom, right from the dream, I'm taking this and I'm going right to the spot. Other days it's like, there ain't shit, but I'm gonna fiddle with some sound, and then all of a sudden I catch something. Other days it's like, there actually ain't shit. It's like, well, okay. Also, though, it's what I'm interested in pointing to is a place which holds intelligent design. And when I say intelligent design, it's like recognizing, in the context of Goliath, it's like recognizing that there is a part of myself that already knows how to deal with this energy. When I'm like, why God? God responds. And there's a part of me that knows how to interact with this energy that I call Goliath, which from one side of the telescope feels like such absurd, unprecedented, and unfathomable pain. But the other side of the telescope, it is like divine. And what I'm trying to communicate is like how I'm talking about the same thing. And depending upon where I am in relationship to it, it looks very different. But it is the same thing. What I'm also seeking to point to is that there is this part of us that, I'll speak for myself, there's a part of me that knows how to relate to this energy that I can sometimes just feel like I'm fucked from. Cultivating connection to that part of me is my practice. A big part of that practice is music, but it's very multifaceted. It is the Azira mythology. It is building this website. It is training my body. It is taking care of life shit and doing a job, right? Like, all of these things are a part of cultivating a relationship to this place, but it's all about. Also, when I say like there's a part of us that already knows how to deal with this energy, what I'm also saying is that we have a path, that we have a purpose. And what I'm interested in doing is like speaking in a way which speaks from my purpose to sympathetically resonate that presence of purpose in others. And when I say purpose, it's like, okay, what does that really mean? And how do you actually get there? And one way to like look at it and feel it is like, we don't decide what turns us on. And this is something that Eric Godsey, who leads this art collective, which inspired me to finish this song, Goliath, and do the scene, or it was the initial invitation. He talks about like, we don't decide what turns us on or what inspires us in life. We discover it as we walk and as we go. And it's like something, or us, has left these breadcrumbs, and these breadcrumbs look like all of these things that inspire us, that make us go, that make us like open, ask a question and want to learn more and want to hear and like open that door, right? Like there's a thread there. And not all of us are living in a way where we're even interested in opening those doors, and that's okay. I think who I'm speaking to is those who really are. Are interested in opening those doors and taking a peek taking the walk into what we're here to do. Going down that route for me is totally fucking insanity. It's like full blown whoa fuck. And it is the ride of a lifetime. I will say that. I could not ask for a more glorious quest. But oh my god. So the Goliath scene is live. It is a start. It is what it is. It's cool. I'm a fan. I'm happy to be here. I can't wait for the next one. I'm absolutely doing another scene. I've got so much more to share. It's just, how do we say this? I don't know. We're going to figure it out scene by scene. Anywho, thanks for listening. I really hope to nourish you in some way with what I do. I hope this benefits you in a way that it does for me. Yeah. Because it really does. Oh my god, it does. Cool. I love you. Talk to you soon.